It is so great to be back at Cal and really, really great to be back at Haas. In fact, it's awesome to be here with all of you. I just had to start there, just had to, as the first speaker. When I walked into this room today and I said to Kelly, am I recalling this right? 15 years ago was the last time I was actually in this room, sitting in this seat right up here on the edge, and I endured and survived one of the most brutal cold calls that I've ever participated in. And as Kelly mentioned, I went to Harvard, which is like the cold call paradise of the world. So I'm really hoping that this goes a lot better than that did. So I want to tell you a little bit about what my life was like when I was getting ready to graduate from Haas. So when I graduated from Haas, I had applied to 83 jobs. 83 jobs. Like there's a person in the back right now whose face is like, okay, we have to move on to speaker two. Like, what is this person gonna tell us? And my husband asked me the other day, how do you even know you applied to 83 jobs? And I said, obviously, I had a spreadsheet like any great business school alum would. So I had my spreadsheet, and I still have it, and my 83 jobs, and I interviewed at every company you can imagine. I interviewed at the Walt Disney Company and management consulting firms, and even a global shipping logistics company. In the words of Mary Oliver, that was probably not the thing that I was going to do with my one wild and precious life. But I also had Google on that list. Now, when you think about that today, that doesn't seem that strange, right? Google's a great company. Who wouldn't want to work at Google? At the time, Google was really not recruiting at Haas. They were definitely recruiting at the School of Engineering, though. So I weighed my options. I thought, okay, today, about 2 million people apply per year on Google's website for a job. At that time, about 1 million did. The other option was I could cajole my parents into another lap at Cal to kind of go over to the School of Engineering. Didn't really think that was going to go out well, so just decided to throw my resume in the hat on the Google career website. And the good news was that they called me. And eventually, they offered me an opportunity to take a job there working on their sales team. So I was really excited about this. And intuitively, I'd always thought, gosh, I'd love a career in sales. We didn't spend a ton of time on it in the curriculum, certainly in an undergraduate business school curriculum. But hey, this could be something that was great for me. And I talked to my friends, and they all said, sales? Why are you going to go work in sales? We're going to work in ABC. I said, well, what's ABC? They said accounting, banking, and consulting. And I said, okay. Well, in the words of Eric Schmidt, right, the longtime chairman, CEO of Google, and of course, Cal alum, when you're offered a seat on a rocket ship, you don't ask what seat. You just get on. And it was that moment, that early in my career, when I learned how important it was to listen to your instincts and listen to your gut, and to be open to the idea of zigging where everyone else is zagging. And this is the principle that took me from that role at Google 18 months later to a role at Facebook on that company's first sales team. And that opportunity was both career and life-defining for me in a number of different ways. And those experiences were different. When I left Google, there were probably 25,000, 30,000 people there. When I joined Facebook, there were nearly 1,000 people. But the thing that was in common between both of those experiences was that I was able to work for and with the smartest people I could. And that framing, right, that context has been so important for me throughout my career in rewiring my thinking around the opportunities that are really most interesting to me. And the reason why this is really important is that the stuff that we know now about how the human brain works is that it responds and it flexes and that it grows to meet challenges and opportunities when you push yourself to take those risks, right? The latest research on this is very clear. You really can teach old dogs new tricks. Here's an old dog. It's my dog, our dog, Cookie. A few weeks ago, my husband and I got together and we decided to take our dog, Cookie, to a behavioral course to learn a little, brush up on a few things that he had forgotten through the years. So I had said to the woman teaching the course, is he really going to learn anything at this? Like, he's not a puppy. I think this stuff's ingrained. What can we do? And she said to me, no, he is the architect of his own brain. Believe in him. He's mature. He will stand up and rise to the occasion. And I thought it was so interesting, right? The language that she used, that we could be the builders of our own brains, that we are all the architects of our own experiences. So I took that job at Facebook, and a few years later, I was talking to someone, telling them about all the great work that I was doing there and all the great things the company was doing. And the person looked over at me across the table, and I really respected him. And he stopped me and he said, "You need to be more selfish. You need to think more about what you're learning and less about what you're doing." And in that moment, right, that was pretty intense sort of feedback from someone who career I admired, someone I really appreciated. And I thought it was so inconsistent with what I knew to be my own values. And certainly the values that all of us have learned at Haas, right, being that one of our defining principles is to go beyond ourselves. And so I wondered, like, what is the lens I can use to understand this type of advice? And what I decided was, and a little light bulb went off in my head, that I needed to have a mission and make it mine. And that if I could take this advice in the context of that mission, I could try to make some sense of it. So my mission is to be a leader who makes a difference in the world. My mission is to be vulnerable in order to be courageous, to be kind in order to chase success in the right ways, and to be grateful in order to experience joy. When I looked back at that advice in the context of my own mission, what I realized is that it actually wasn't about being selfish at all. It was actually about investing in myself to be able to go beyond myself, right? Because you can't go beyond yourself without yourself. This was a super important lesson for me to learn, and a big piece of my journey in the Valley, that my life wasn't defined by the number of PowerPoint slides I made, or the number of emails that I sent, or the number of times that I'd worked on the weekend, or the amount of money that I had made. And my life certainly isn't defined by those things. But rather, I define my life by that mission and living the best life that I can based on the things that are true to my values and the values of those around me that I admire. So those are 3 things that I learned in the last 13 years in Silicon Valley. To zig when everyone else is zagging, to work for and with the smartest people that you can, and to have that mission, but most importantly, to make it yours. There are no careers or lives worth living that I know of that are traditional and linear. In fact, it really is those twists and turns on the road that make our lives so interesting, our stories so nuanced, and the entire experience so delicious on the way to the destination. You just have to be willing to zig. Thank you.